Bonjour, Kinamagi in Ireland edition of Kaz, and welcome to the season premiere of our citizenship education. Today's episode, citizenship questions 1 through 5. I want to welcome you to this season premiere. Hopefully this year you'll have an opportunity to learn a lot about civics and history as we try to build on your knowledge base and help you be prepared for middle school or high school. Each episode we will work with about 5 questions each time. We will provide you some background information. You'll be able to use the Google slide to click on links. Those will be attached near these videos within our Google Classroom. And there will also be places where you can practice quizzing yourself. At the end of most weeks, we will have a short quiz. Sometimes we'll have a little longer cumulative quiz to make sure that we remember these. And at the end of the year, the hope is that you know the majority of these questions. So without further ado, let's begin. Our first question is, what is the supreme law of the land? And that answer is the Constitution. If you're interested in learning about the Constitution, you can click this link right here and actually read it. You can see that Article 1 is about legislative powers. You could keep scrolling for quite a while and get to Article 2, the executive powers. That's the president in the case of the United States Constitution. Article 3, the judicial or courts, and then it goes on. And this is something that you're always welcome to look at. We'll talk more about it during social studies in general, but it's great to be able to compare our Constitution here in our community with the Michigan Constitution, with the United States Constitution. What does the Constitution do? It sets up the government. It explains how it's going to be organized. It defines the government, and by that it defines the rights and powers that the government has. And it also protects the basic rights of Americans. All 3 of those things. The idea of self-government is the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are these words? And you will see this many times, and you can see it big and bold here. We the people. And that means that the sovereignty of the United States comes from the people within. Our next question is, what is an amendment? And an amendment is a change to the Constitution. In the course of our history, we've only had 27 amendments to the United States Constitution. And that's over the course of more than 200 years. Why so few? Let's watch this video clip.
When it was ratified in 1789, the U.S. Constitution didn't just institute a government by the people. It provided a way for the people to alter the Constitution itself. And yet, of the nearly 11,000 amendments proposed in the centuries since, only 27 have succeeded as of 2016. So what is it that makes the Constitution so hard to change? In short, its creators. The founders of the United States were trying to create a unified country from 13 different colonies, which needed assurance that their agreements couldn't be easily undone. So here's what they decided. For an amendment to even be proposed, it must receive a 2/3 vote of approval in both houses of Congress, or a request from 2/3 of state legislatures to call a national convention. And that's just the first step. To actually change the Constitution, the amendment must be ratified by 3/4 of all states. To do this, each state can either have its legislature vote on the amendment, or it can hold a separate ratification convention with delegates elected by voters. The result of such high thresholds is that today, the American Constitution is quite static. Most other democracies pass amendments every couple of years. The US, on the other hand, hasn't passed one since 1992. At this point, you may wonder how any amendments manage to pass at all. The first 10, known as the Bill of Rights, include some of America's most well-known freedoms, such as the freedom of speech and the right to a fair trial. These were passed all at once to resolve some conflicts from the original Constitutional Convention. Years later, the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, as well as the 14th and 15th Amendments, only passed after a bloody civil war. Ratifying amendments has also become harder as the country has grown larger and more diverse. The first ever proposed amendment, a formula to assign congressional representatives, was on the verge of ratification in the 1790s. However, as more and more states joined the Union, the number needed to reach the three-quarter mark increased as well, leaving it unratified to this day. Today, there are many suggested amendments, including outlawing the burning of the flag, limiting congressional terms, or even repealing the Second Amendment. While many enjoy strong support, their likelihood of passing is slim. Americans today are the most politically polarized since the Civil War, making it nearly impossible to reach a broad consensus. In fact, the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia once calculated that due to America's representative system of government, it could take as little as 2% of the total population to block an amendment. Of course, the simplest solution would be to make the Constitution easier to amend by lowering the thresholds required for proposal and ratification. That, however, would require its own amendment. Instead, historical progress has mainly come from the U.S. Supreme Court, which has expanded its interpretation of existing constitutional laws to keep up with the times. Considering that Supreme Court justices are unelected and serve for life once appointed, this is far from the most democratic option. Interestingly, the founders themselves may have foreseen this problem early on. In a letter to James Madison, Thomas Jefferson wrote that laws should expire every 19 years, rather than having to be changed or repealed, since every political process is full of obstacles that distort the will of the people. Although he believed that the basic principles of the Constitution would endure, he stressed that the earth belongs to the living and not to the dead.
Now, what do we call those first 10 amendments? And that is the Bill of Rights. And now, for your viewing pleasure, a little review of the Bill of Rights from Smart Songs.
Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writers still had to go look at it twice, cause the states that reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founders said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writers still had to go look at it twice, cause the people reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founders said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Number 1 says we can worship as we please. We can have meetings, large assemblies. We can write what we want, it's called the freedom of press. What we feel we can say out loud, we can express.
Yes, concerned about securing your house and your farm? Through Amendment 2, you have the right to bear arms. In order to be free, do you get the picture? Each state has the right to form its own militia.
Number 3 says no soldiers in homes. The government can't just force you to loan your own private house so their soldiers can sleep, especially not in times of peace.
The 4th Amendment is sure to get applause. No searches or seizures without probable cause. But when there is belief that a crime has been done, a warrant can be ordered then to search someone.
Then on to the 5th Amendment, no need to tell the government things that might send you to jail. You cannot be accused of the same crime twice. That would put you in a double jeopardy, it's not right. Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writers still had to go look at it twice, cause the states that reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founders said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writer still had to go look at it twice, cause the people reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founder said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights.
Number 6 gives 6 rights to the accused, like the right to know which law you might have abused. It gives the right to a fair and public trial, your own defense counsel, you know there's no denial.
I'll tell you 7 is simple when a trial is civil, meaning that no one in the dispute is a criminal. You can ask for a jury in these cases too. Usually they're over money somebody wants to sue.
For the 8th Amendment, we compliment our government. It won't allow cruel or unusual punishment. Face the judge's hammer and end up in the slammer. You won't pay excessive bail in any given manner.
All the rights that we have, says Amendment 9, cannot be confined only to these written lines. Just because a freedom isn't here on this list, the government cannot say it does not exist.
What was meant when the last of the 10 was written? Government only has power it is given. In order to be equal, power not listed in the Constitution shall be given to the people.
Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writer still had to go look at it twice, cause the states that reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founder said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Well, the Constitution took days and nights, but the writer still had to go look at it twice, cause the people reviewed it said, here's some advice. It should guarantee freedom, yeah, that would be nice. So the founder said, alright, and wrote the Bill of Rights. Yep, the first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments are the Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendments.
We have now reached the conclusion of the first 5 questions. Just as a reminder, I do not own the rights to any of said videos, and images are found via Google searches. If you'd like to practice these questions, you may click on the slide on the link here to Quizlet.com and practice. There will also be a link to this found within the Google Classroom. Thank you for viewing. We look forward to seeing you next week. And I look forward to seeing your amazing growth in your knowledge of the United States citizenship. Mama P.